All right, let's just get right into it. We hear it all the time, right? AI is this amazing tool that's going to supercharge our learning, make us more productive. But what if it's not? What if using it the wrong way is actually secretly making us, well, less smart? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Yeah, I know. That is a pretty intense statement. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's based on some really interesting new research that suggests this tool we think is making us smarter might be doing the exact opposite. So how on earth could that be true?
So let's start with what's actually happening inside our heads when we lean on AI. And to do that, we're going to look at a pretty eye-opening study that just came out of MIT. It gives us a fascinating and, frankly, kind of alarming picture.
The setup for the experiment was so simple, but also kind of genius. They got a bunch of people together and gave them a straightforward task: write some essays. But here's the catch. It all came down to the tools they were allowed to use.
Okay, so they split everyone into 3 groups. Group 1, they got to use ChatGPT. Group 2 could use a search engine, like Google, but specifically no AI tools. And Group 3, they were the brain-only crew. They had to rely completely on what they already knew. And the whole time, the researchers were measuring everyone's brain activity.
And this chart says it all, doesn't it? I mean, look at this. The brain activity for the group using ChatGPT was way, way lower than the other two. You can see the search engine group and the brain-only group, their brains were firing on all cylinders, really working hard. But the LLM group's brains, they were basically just coasting.
And that lower brain activity wasn't just some abstract number on a screen. It had real consequences. The folks using ChatGPT didn't just remember less of the information afterwards, but the essays they wrote were actually judged as being worse, more generic, less insightful.
Now, here's the part that really gets me, and it's a little unsettling. This effect wasn't just temporary. Even after they stopped using AI, that group's brain activity stayed lower. The study called it a residual negative effect. Basically, relying too much on AI seems to leave a mark, a lasting impact on how our brains work.
So what is going on here? Why is this happening? If AI is feeding us all the right answers, why aren't we actually learning? Well, it's because we're falling into a really powerful trap, the illusion of learning. There's actually a name for it. It's called cognitive bypassing. It's a fancy term for a really simple idea. It's when we use AI to skip over the hard part, the mental heavy lifting, the connecting of dots, the real thinking. And it turns out that hard part is exactly where real learning happens. Think about any skill you've ever really mastered. You get some information, sure, but then what happens? The struggle. You have to wrestle with it, organize it in your mind, connect it to other things you know. That effort, that friction, that's not a bug, it's the feature. That's how you build real, lasting expertise.
Now look at the AI shortcut. We get the information, and then we jump straight to the answer, totally bypassing that crucial middle step. It feels amazing. It feels so efficient. But because we skip the mental workout, it's just an illusion. We feel like we learned something, but it never actually sank in.
And this, right here, is the absolute key. Reading a perfectly written summary from an AI and going, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," is completely different from truly internalizing it. Without that mental effort, the info just goes in one ear and out the other. It doesn't stick. So all of this leads to a really interesting, kind of counterintuitive idea. You'd think that in a world flooded with AI content, human experts would become less important. But the truth is, it's the exact opposite. True human expertise is becoming more valuable than ever.
When we rely too much on AI, we run into 2 huge dangers. First, our own skills start to fade. It's called skill atrophy. You just never build the mental muscles to figure out complex stuff on your own. And second, and this is a big one, AI models hallucinate. They're not search engines for truth. They're probability engines designed to guess the next word. And sometimes their guesses are just plain wrong.
And this is where your own expertise becomes a superpower. I mean, just look at the difference. A novice asks a vague question, gets a generic, maybe even incorrect answer, and just accepts it. But an expert? They know enough to write super specific prompts, to challenge the AI's answers, and to use it to get truly high-quality results. AI doesn't replace expertise, it amplifies it.
Just think about it this way. If literally anyone can use AI to generate a pretty okay essay or a basic analysis, then okay and basic become completely worthless. The real value, the thing that will set you apart, is the deep human expertise that can go beyond that baseline and deliver something truly insightful. Okay, so I know that might sound a little bit doom and gloom, but don't worry, there's good news. This is totally fixable. We just have to shift our mindset. We need to stop using AI as a replacement for our brain and start using it for what it is, an incredibly powerful assistant.
If you take one thing away from this, let it be this right here. You know that feeling when you're tackling something new and it feels hard, confusing, maybe even a little overwhelming? That feeling isn't a signal to give up and hand it off to AI. That is the feeling of your brain getting ready to learn. It's a good thing. Don't run from it. Lean into it.
So what does that look like in practice? Here's a much smarter way to work. Step 1. Sure, use AI to get a high-level summary to get your bearings, but don't stop there. Step 2. Interrogate it. Argue with it. Ask for other viewpoints. Step 3. Use that to dive into the real primary sources. And 4. The most important part. You have to own the final processing. The job of organizing all that information still belongs to your brain.
Think of AI as your own personal research assistant. Use it to find articles and books for you. Use it as a sounding board to bounce your own ideas off of. Use it to quickly check for blind spots or different ways of looking at a problem. Let it handle the boring, tedious stuff so you can free up your brain power for the deep thinking that actually matters.
At the end of the day, it's simple. Real learning, the kind that sticks, takes effort. It just does. AI is offering us this tempting, easy escape from that effort. But if you take that escape, you're not going to end up at the same destination. You have to do the work.
Ultimately, AI isn't good or bad. It's a tool, just like a hammer or a calculator. The only thing that matters is how you choose to use it. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: are you using it to build and sharpen your own mind, or are you letting it do the thinking for you?